Hello. Just waiting for everyone to pop in. I am officially live. Hi, Bryn. Thanks for coming in again. Tommy, what's up? We are live on Facebook and Instagram for our weekly Penswoods wine tasting. Thank you, everyone, for coming in. I'll just give everyone a few minutes to pop in. And if you have any questions while I'm, going along, please feel free just to type it in. Hi, Bob. Hope you're doing all right. Hi, John. Thanks, everyone, for joining me today. So just a few things before we get started. Some of you may already know, but so every week we announce our 10% off current wine of the week on Sundays. And then on Wednesdays, I go live with a virtual wine tasting, and we talk a little bit more in depth about that vintage, a little bit about the grape in general, just kind of, and answer any questions you may have. So, like I said, if you have anything, just feel free to pop in. And then this Friday, we are actually not doing a virtual happy hour because instead on Saturday, all four of us, me, Andy, Carly, and Alexa, will be live doing our cupcake and wine pairing. And if we did sell out for the May date, and if you're interested, we still do have some spots for June, so be sure you snag those tickets ASAP because she is filling up fast, and we are super excited to do an at-home virtual wine pairing with all of you. And we'll talk about some other exciting stuff we have coming up here in a bit. But back to the main event, Chardonnay. So today I'll be talking about our Chardonnay Reserve 2016 vintage. And Chardonnay in general is known for its elegance, its aromatic complexity, and what's really special about Chardonnay is that it's an incredibly reflective of terroir. So it's very unique from every place it's grown, and that means it's incredibly diverse. So you can get some lean, mean, mineral-driven Chablis, to sparkling Blanc de Blanc, to rich, creamy, barrel-aged wines like you see typically in California. And really, it's sometimes described as a winemaker's wine, and it's all about finding the balance between expressing terroir and then bringing out the best in the wine. And we'll talk a little bit about, balancing that oak and unoaked Chardonnay and all that jazz. But really, it's just so versatile, and it is a very subtle grape, but it has plenty of personality, and it can really reflect what you do in the vineyard and what you're doing in the winemaking room. So it's really kind of cool. Everyone has their own kind of signature flavor when it comes to Chardonnay. Um, just in general, Chardonnay is the most popular, the most widely planted grape in the world. There's over 500,000 acres of Chardonnay planted worldwide. But its home is Burgundy in France, and it's generally agreed upon that the Romans probably planted Gouais Blanc in the region, and then Gouais Blanc met Pinot Noir, boom, made Chardonnay, this beautiful grape that we have here in front of us. And, you know, generally tends to be leaner and meaner in France. They do more subtle oak aging. Um, but then, California's kind of been known to oak age their wines, and kind of how that started. There was kind of like a little bit of backlash with Chardonnay for a little while, but it's really starting to kind of pick back up and come into its own. And, I've talked with Davide about it, and it's one of the most exciting wines for him to make, and it's one of our oldest vines in the vineyard, so it's really, really beautiful here in our little winery. But 76, Judgment of Paris, Chateau Montelena kicked the shit out of, some wines from Burgundy, and all these California wineries started making Chardonnay, and they thought, like, oh, like, if a little bit of oak is good, maybe a lot of oak is better, and it's sometimes that's a little bit the American way. But then, Chardonnay kind of became known for these big butter bombs full of oak and vanilla and just kind of like heavy, not very food friendly. And like I said, kind of experienced a little bit of backlash for a while, but then you don't really see that anymore. The trend is kind of more towards letting the wine express itself and using that oak as kind of like a vessel to round out the edges and add a little body, add that creaminess to Chardonnay that we love. Let's see, Megan has a question. Can we get just the bottles for the tasting? Yeah, absolutely. You can just pick up the bottles and do a tasting right along with me, or if you want to pick up some bottles and just do a tasting for the wine pairing, absolutely, or the wine and cupcake pairing. Absolutely. Yeah, you pick up as many bottles as you like. I know you love that Traminette, Meg. But a little bit about Chardonnay in the vineyard. Has these beautiful, small but elongated bunches. It's actually one of my favorite grapes to harvest. We usually harvest Moscato, and then we harvest Sauvignon Blanc, which is a little bit pain in the ass. It feels like it's almost like saran wrapped to the vine in these tight little clusters. And then we get to Chardonnay, and it has these nice, long, beautiful clusters with these kind of golden hue berries, and you're just out there like cutting them and throwing them and in the basket and in the lug, and it's just a really fun little grape to harvest because of that nice, sweet, pretty abundant juice. And in general, it's relatively easy to cultivate. It adapts to a variety of conditions. There's a few things, it does prefer like chalk, limestone, clay, and it does lean towards preferring a cooler environment, like its native Burgundy. So it really does grow very well here in Pennsylvania. And because Chardonnay kind of naturally has a more moderate acidity, so sometimes in warmer seasons or in warmer climates, you'll lose some of that pH or the harvest, and the wine can be a little bit flabby. So Chardonnay is really perfect for cooler climate. With one caveat, it tends to be early budding. So when it buds early and you get a late frost, you can lose some of those buds and then lose some of your crop for the year. But there's a few things we can do to mitigate that. Sometimes what we do is you aggressively prune right before bud break, and it kind of shocks the vine, and it shocks it into not producing buds for like a week or two delay, which is usually just enough to kind of push you into that safe zone. Um, but a good side of cooler climate is that it's early ripening. So, it ripens a little bit early. We have a shorter growing season. It's perfect for that. It tends to be a little bit vigorous, so we got to watch with the canopy management, aggressive pruning. And Chardonnay can produce, up to 4.5 tons per acre, but we generally keep it around like the 3, and some producers go 2.5 range, just so you can really concentrate those flavors. Um, some problems, sometimes, it has the Miller-Andage where, it has the different size berries, powdery mildew. And the harvest time for Chardonnay is really crucial because as soon as it ripens, the acidity really starts to go down. So timing that perfectly, Davides and Gino, they're out there every day, like testing the grapes, eating the grapes, checking the bricks, like making sure like we get it right on point so we don't lose that really pretty acidity, which is the nice backbone of every good Chardonnay. Our Chardonnay, in particular in our Chatsford vineyard, was planted, oh gosh, over 40 years ago. So we have some really nice, beautiful vines. I actually posted one of our favorite girls on social media today. You can see her all like curled, and they say that, the vines that are the most twisted and bendy have produced the best wine. And we don't know exactly what clones those are or what rootstock, but we do know we've done some planting over the years. And over the years, we planted Dijon clone 548 and different grape clones kind of, it's all Chardonnay, but they kind of have different qualities. And one of the great things about 548 is that it has really complex aromas, nice mouthfeel, and it is lower yielding. So like I said, with Chardonnay's tendency to overproduce and kind of dilute those flavors, having a naturally more, lower yielding clone really, really helps with that. Has these nice loose bunches, so we don't really have to worry about botrytis too much, and just great balance between the intense fruit flavors, good acidity. Again, really beautiful clone that we work with, and the other one is a mystery, but she does really well as well. Hi Kathy, how's it going? Hi Thais, thanks for popping in. Um, as we kind of touched on earlier, Chardonnay can run the gamut in terms of flavor profile. In general, you're looking for like some nice yellow apple, star fruit, pineapple, some non-fruit secondary flavors, some clay, earthy notes, maybe slight truffle or a wet stone or flint minerality. but it's going to really depend on where it's grown. Some cooler climates tend to be like more green apple and citrus, kind of lean green plum, pear, grapefruity things happening. And then as you get warmer, you get more tropical notes like mango, and you get some melon and peach and maybe even fig notes. And then you throw in some oak aging in there too. We use all French oak here, but in California they're using American oak. So depending on the oak influence, you're going to get vanilla, baking spices, butter, honey, some lees aging elements in there, some biscuity, doughy flavor. So there's a lot of layers and nuance to Chardonnay, which is wonderful. And like I said, it's about finding that right balance between letting it express that fruit and that subtle minerality, and then capturing the expression without obscuring it too much with the winemaking technique, but making sure you I don't know, like some people do an unoaked Chardonnay, and I just feel like it's just a shadow of what the wine could be. You lose some of that creamy texture, that beautiful mouthfeel, but then if you over oak it, it's too flabby. So it really is, it is something for an experienced winemaker, and just having the right touch. So when you get one, it's just it's a beautiful thing. But nice medium bodied, medium acidity, medium dry, nice pale gold color, and it really just coats your mouth in a very beautiful, satisfying way. In this particular vintage, so we brought this out, is our Chardonnay Reserve 2016. So this one is about 90% steel fermentation, and then we have 10% of French oak aged wine blended in. So we actually did a video a few weeks ago, a little bit about Chardonnay blending our Chardonnay 2019, but it's the same principles every year. We keep about 6 different barrels. They're all at various aging um, years in aging, and we do the lees aging. We stir it once a week, kind of give some of those, like I said, toasty, biscuity, doughy flavors, and it's just blending in a little bit and just kind of finding that right balance. This particular one has a beautiful nose. It's dried apricot, that touch of vanilla, a hint of spice, and then you get that candied grapefruit and these nice apples, these apples that are like that have been baking in the sun. It's just a really pretty wine, and then that nice, beautiful acidity that's all down the backbone of it. It just carries this wine, and it gives it a little more life, and not a lot of a little more mouth watering to the finish. Mm. It's a it's a good little Chardonnay. And Chardonnay, it's one of my favorite wines we do here because, like I said, it's one of our older vines, and it's really something that we hold close to our hearts because it is so reflective of our land here, and it is so reflective of our wine taking making techniques. It's just a very, very beautiful wine to enjoy and kind of really get a feel for how we do things here at Penswoods Winery. As far as pairing goes, because Chardonnay kind of has a more subtle, quiet nature, you kind of want to make sure you keep the flavor and the spice low, or just focus on one flavor. We're more focusing on textures of foods like creamy, buttery things, some cheeses that go well with it, like buttery and nutty cheeses, some brie and camembert, like some creamy cheese. I actually have some of the hootenanny that from Goat Rodeo, and we chatted with them last week, and it's just perfect with the Chardonnay because it does have this nice, creamy, slightly nutty texture, but that goat's milk has that little bit of citrus note to it, which really plays well with some of the grapefruity tones in this wine. So beautiful pairing with the hootenanny from Goat Rodeo and this Chardonnay. It's so, so good. I'm having a really good time. It's so beautiful out here with this wine and this cheese. This is just heaven. I can't wait till we can have you all back here at the vineyard. But some other things, butternut squash, butternut squash risotto would be so good. Some nice, more meaty fish, some lobster, crab, and halibut. Pork tenderloin with some apples, prosciutto, nice creamy pastas, because it does have the acidity to kind of cut through some of that fattiness, but enough richness in the body to kind of stand up to some more creamy pastas. But in general, just a really beautiful wine. Like I said before, subtle, but with tons of personality, and a really great wine to really express yourself as a winery and how you make wine, and what your vineyard really tastes like here. So thank you so much for joining me talking about this little Chardonnay. If you have any questions, please just pop in. Feel free to ask, or you can direct message later. I'm always happy to talk a little bit more about Chardonnay. She's one of my favorite topics. Chardonnay, Cab Franc, Rosé, Pinot Noir. Those are my super, super, yeah, wine. So, like I said, feel free to, we'll chat about it, get nerdy with it. For anyone who's jumped in later, this video will be posted up for on IGTV, on Facebook. We just started a YouTube channel, so if you guys want to check out our boob tube and kind of get on that, or if you have any friends who don't do social media, we have it on our website. We're all like connected, and it's super exciting because we're actually able to do a lot of these fun virtual things and videos and online education that we really haven't had a chance to do before. So we really feel super excited to have your support for us in this virtual environment. Like I said, we have the virtual wine and cupcake pairing coming up, our first one this Saturday. Then we have the next one next Saturday. These are all custom flavors. These are not your grandma's cupcakes. It's not just chocolate. It's not just vanilla. Like, we have some really creative, fun flavors that we've paired and created especially for the vintages in this special pairing. And I'm so excited to talk a little bit more about it and share it with you all. We have some really upcoming great lives with local cigar vendor. We're going to learn more about cigar and wine pairing. We're going to partner with Righteous Felon, get some beef jerky. We are partnering with Third Wheel Cheese to bring you a virtual wine and cheese pairing in July. And we have, great Father's Day package. We have our red, white, and barbecue coming up. And please just, keep in touch with us on social media. Let me know if you have any questions. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later.